politician Arthur Mandela, popularly known as Xtian dela, has finally responded to his mother's heartfelt plea for reconciliation.
Mahali penye adhaku ajue mama yake anamtaka.
In his latest podcast, Tuko Sesh, the blogger pointed out that the root cause of the rift between him and his mother was none other than toxic parenting.
Now, you guys have probably heard about the trending story about Xtian dela. It's very interesting, and I know you guys are really gonna react to it. Everybody's gonna bring out their perspective and what they think and so on and so forth. Okay, it's so interesting because for your mom, for anybody's mom to go out in public and cry foul over their kids, most probably it is an alarming issue. Now the thing is, Xtian dela is a big person. He's a good guy. I don't know, I've never met him in person, so I can't say he's a good guy. But let us just go over about this issue of Xtian dela. And I want us to see maybe one of two things, because you guys have heard that in his reply he was talking about toxic parenting. Now, I want to bring you guys to toxic parenting traits. Now, number one, toxic parents, they are self-centered. I never grew up with a self-centered parent. I grew up with a parent who was always for the people and for everyone, and then they brought themselves last. Now, in most cases, you find that a lot of parents, whenever they're dealing with their kids, in their dealing with their kids, they want that the things that come are the things that build to their ego and stuff. That is why you find in the neighborhood, your parent is telling you, you should not play with a group of kids or a group of friends because they are, just to make sure. Yeah. You should not play with a group of kids or a group of friends because maybe they have different characters or different traits. Now that is, if you're a man and you're going out to play, that is building your own character. But if you cannot build your own character because you are not allowed, that is feeding the ego of another person. Now, the second thing is they are disrespectful. I don't know how this could turn out, but it really could turn out in the real life situation where you want to do something, you tell your parents, say, I have this and I have this idea, and then they're like, no, I've told you, I brought you up like this. You're going against the rules and the laws and everything. So there are different ways of parents disrespecting their kids. Yeah, a lot of them. So you guys have to just really watch out for them. Another one is they're emotionally reactive. You tell them, like now let us use Dela's case. You tell them, Mom, I'm not marrying a Kikuyu. I've found a very good girlfriend, but she's maybe from Coast or South Africa or whichever place you have gotten them from. And then they're like, no, I'm a Kikuyu or I'm a Kalenjin. You have to marry a Kalenjin. So over that, you guys react, and then there are a lot of issues that come over it. And then she bursts at you emotionally. So you find that it's so hard for you because you trying to fit in these emotional constructs of your parent, denying yourself your own emotions and stuff. So you find it's very difficult for us sometimes. And again, personally, I never grew up with such kinds of parents because I would never tolerate them. Up to now, there are things I still wouldn't tolerate in my parenting or in my parents if they were, because I was this defiant, always, not know all, but I was like, you're not gonna tell me because I already know, so we're gonna argue on the basis of what I know. Another thing is controlling. You have to play this game. You have to go out. You don't have to watch television. You have to do this. Now, those are toxic parents. You don't have to, like, okay, I know of people who are told not to go out, and then they are not allowed to invite people in their houses because other people are not good. Now, that means your parents are controlling on what you can consume, the people you can associate with, and sometimes it's not really good for kids as when we're growing up. Yeah, because you find that this child is gonna grow up and they don't have friends, and then they're like, at the end of the day, when they grow up and they become of age, they'll be like, it is because of my parents' fault that I don't have friends, that I'm an introvert, or so on and so forth. So you guys should also watch out for that. Okay, toxic parents are also very angry. This comes out in a lot of things. Okay, now when I remember when I was young, when I was in high school, I used to go to school in fade. I used to fade my hair when I was going to school, and then sometimes my mom would be like, "Are you really gonna go to school like that?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm gonna go." And then my friends, one time it was a very showing fade, and then my friends tell me, "Look, that is really showing. Are they gonna accept you?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm going." And then I remember again, I didn't really have a controlling parent, but I remember I had a rule of 3 buttons. So I would not button the first 3 buttons of the shirt up. And my mom would be always like, "You have to button this and this." Now the second last. And I would be like, "Yes, she buttons it, and then I unbutton later when I get to school." So I was like, that was not really controlling, but under social construct, they're like, under social construct, they're like, "We want you to be decent." It's okay, but I also know, so you're not really gonna tell me much. I'm not saying that you guys should not listen to your parents or so on. Another thing we have to watch out for in toxic parents, or rather, they are very manipulative. Now, under manipulation, I guess all of us growing up, Magara, we've been manipulated. Everything about us has been manipulation, but sometimes I think it's manipulation in a good way, because if you are just left to grow up crudely and so cruel, then we would not be really having good morals, because these manipulations that our parents brought up in us, they brought fear, they brought resentment, and then they brought us being dependent on them. If you are left to be on your own, you're gonna grow up like a wild tree. But if you grow up with rules and some manipulation around you, obviously it's gonna shape you in one way or another. But when you grow up, you're gonna realize, this was a manipulation. Okay, let us take for instance, you grow up and then your parents tells you, you have to go to church, you have to go to church. But when you grow up, when you become of age, you realize, okay, I should pray, I should know God, but I really don't have to go to church every day. So you'll find that in your childhood days, you're manipulated into. But again, church is good because we learned a lot of social values and principles from the Sunday schools. Now, another one, there are quite a lot. They are blaming, demanding, embarrassing, boundaryless. Now, let me talk on this boundaryless. Let us say, for example, I'm a Kikuyu, and then I bring to my mom or my parents a girl that is not of my social construct or of my ethnical group, and then they're like, "No, we told you that you have to bring for us a person of our own ethical group, of which you guys are gonna have an argument, because at the end of the day, you are old enough and you've decided on what you're gonna do and what you are not going to do." So you find that this is still really happening in Kenya, that this tribal and ethical group thing, it's really happening in marriage. But I guess in our generation, because we have known better, everybody has a choice, and we are not living the old political construct where you had to marry from your same political group or same social class. So it's somebody that has to choose on who they are fallen in love with and who they want to spend the rest of their lives with, depending on the morals and the principles of their terms and agreement in that relationship. Now, I guess let us say, for example, the first chile that was brought to Xtian's mother was a Kikuyu. She really appraises her, and then she's like, she used to come home like every time they would cook, she'd cook for her, and so on and so forth. And then when Xtian and the girlfriend broke up, let us say, what happens? The mother doesn't accept the other ethnical group into her group, because we have been conditioned that anything out of your tribe is not a very good one. You see, so you see, there's hapo kuna mvutano kidogo. There's a problem, because at the end of the day, maybe when Xtian introduced this girl to the mother didn't accept. We don't know how the story ended up, but maybe she didn't accept, and then Xtian was like, to hell, this is what I'm going to decide on, and this is what I've decided on. She's the one that brings me peace. We have a family together, so to hell with whatever thing you are saying. So you guys, as we're growing up and then becoming older, and very soon we'll be parents, I guess we should also learn from mistakes of our parents so that we know better and then we become better. And then another thing, sometimes our parents are very competitive, and then they are they drain us emotionally, mentally and physically. And when you realize that somebody is draining you to that extent, then I guess you should just detach. Now the next episode we are going to do on this is detaching from your family and maybe friends, but I know that could be quite hard. But again, at the end of the day, if you had a toxic parent, please make peace with them and then say, look, I didn't like how you brought me up. This has affected me in this way. This has affected me like this. So you face it, then you get done with it, and then at the end of the day, you make sure that you make peace with yourself, and then you live a good life and an easy one. Thank you guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and then make sure you add up to the following. Thank you.